What's up, guys, and welcome to episode 20 of Skins in the Game. We are going live for the first time in the show's history. How you doing today?
I'm doing really good. How you doing?
Yeah, after a nice Skins win,
I know.
feeling it. You predicted the win. You were close. You said 24-17. It ended up being 27-17. We got that garbage field goal at the end. I bet you were ticked. You were like, what the heck? Why do we have to go for the field goal?
Yeah,
Can't we
I was
just
way
not
off.
score? I predicted the correct score. I just had the wrong winner. I had 27-17, but it ended up being the Skins winning it 27-17. What were your takeaways from the game? I got a bunch of them written down, but how did you feel about the game?
Well, I'll be honest with you. When it started, through the first 1.5 quarters, I'm thinking, really, here we go again. Same old Redskins. I know the 3rd and 23 that Redskins got him, and then he ends up throwing a 40-yard gain. And I thought, okay, so even Jack Del Rio rushes 4 guys on 3rd and 23, and I'm like, okay, great. And then that interception in the second half uh, was, I mean, I think that changed the momentum. But a couple of takeaways is I think that the defensive calling was tentative. I think Chase Young was so hyped up. I mean, 2 offside penalties. I think he was just, you know, like I said, it just so pumped up about the game that he was overplaying, and I think the defense was a little bit tentative, and then they just shifted gears. But basically, the ultimate takeaway of the game is the defense. And I know Philadelphia had 2 offensive linemen hurt and blah, 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 but ultimately, my predictions earlier this year that said that my basis for having hope for the Redskins is that the defense is going to be scary. And I think they gave a little indication of that possibility. And I know it's one game, but they gave a inkling or a glimpse of the possibility that they're going to be a scary defense out there. So
I
that's
cannot deny that they played really well. Yes, there was a lot of injuries on the Eagles, especially on offense. But actually, their defense was very injured as well. So it was tough for them after because I think Brandon Ingram went down. One of their uh, offensive linemen went down early. Like yeah,
yep.
they were beat up throughout the game, and they already came in beat up. They didn't have Miles Sanders, their number one running back. So
Yeah,
it
but how many
was tough.
times? All I want to say is how many times in the past has the Redskins faced a team like that and still got crushed,
Too
right?
many, too many to count. Too many to count.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
So
sure. All right, well, I got my takeaways right here, and I'll start with the good. I have a bunch of them written down. You can interrupt me anytime to continue to add
don't
on.
worry, I will.
So, good, first and foremost, we showed some resilience. You know, we haven't seen it since the 24-0 comeback for Kirk Cousins back in 2015, where we went down 17-0. Seemed like all was lost. Our quarterback is all over the place. Our defense was causing penalties, and we just stuck with the game plan. They made slight adjustments to continue to play well. The defense was made adjustments to call. Like I know that on 3rd and 22, we gave up a big play and we only rushed 3. You know how I hate that. After that, on 3rd and long, we rushed 4 or more the rest of the time on 3rd and long. That helped a lot to stop this defense or to stop the offense. And I think so that we made some good stuff, but we just showed resilience, and that was really good to see. There was no bickering on the sidelines. There was no like we're heads down or anything. It's like, you know what, we're down, but let's go to work. So I liked that.
Yep. And before you move on, I also
Mm-hmm.
wanted to say is they didn't run out of gas in the fourth quarter. I think it was the other way around because that's what we've seen the last few years. Whereas the fourth quarter hits, they just have nothing left in the tank. And I think that they looked just as sharp in the fourth as they did in the end of the second to the third quarter. I won't say in the first.
Yeah, yeah. We can't really say. Did we play 4 quarters? I don't know if we could say we played 4 quarters, but we played the right 2.5 quarters, the correct two
Right.
and a half. Yeah, so I agree. It was nice to see. The other one that's obvious is the defensive line was outstanding. 8 sacks. I don't know how many pressures. Kerrigan only had 22 snaps. Did you realize that he only had 22 snaps in the game? Didn't it seem like he
Yeah,
was
I
all
would.
over the place?
Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed it. That seems low to me, but that is
Because
not.
he
Yeah, he was
turned,
fired up.
yeah, he turned those 22 snaps into 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, a fumble recovery, and there was a play where he completely ruined a screen pass that ended up, I don't think it ended up counting as a sack because I think Carson Wentz may have gotten right back to the line of scrimmage. But
Yeah, I know the player you're talking
yeah,
about.
that's whenever he was on the field, he was doing something. And if that's what we're going to get out of a fresh Ryan Kerrigan the rest of the season, he's going to be scary. And then, of course, to top it off, he became the Redskins' all-time sack leader today with those 2 sacks. What a
Yeah,
fantastic day for Ryan Kerrigan.
yeah, I think he's a great guy. I think the defense was lunch carting him after a while, and it seemed like most of the time 2 and 3 linemen were meeting at Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
And I heard a Philly fan. I wanted to add. I heard a Philly fan say that uh, Carson Wentz sucks. That he cannot read a defense. That the fact that he didn't see on a 4th and 4 a linebacker come untouched and didn't just throw the ball away or do something.
Yeah.
Like how many times he got sacked for 8 and 9 and 10 yards. It's like they were saying he can't read defenses. So maybe this is the first time. Not I'm sure not the first time, but maybe he's not used to being under pressure because he looked lost.
Well, anybody that's going to get sacked 8 times in one day is going to have some troubles. That was the key to beating Brady. Like he was losing his Super Bowls because the Giants were able to get to him so many times throughout the game, get pressure on him. When you even the great quarterbacks, if you get pressure on them like we did against Carson Wentz, they are going to struggle throughout the game. Like not feel comfortable, feel always have that second guess in the back of their head somebody's going to come strip sack me or something's going to happen where I need to make a move. I'm looking down now. I'm not looking downfield anymore. I'm looking where's the pressure coming from? Like cuz there was
Yeah,
a
but still,
go
and
ahead.
I get what you're saying, but still, I think the first interception, when you throw an interception, if you don't have a short memory, that's going to affect you and start making you hesitant. And then in very short order, I think it was what 6 minutes into the third quarter when he threw the second one, and then he became hesitant. Then he was delaying throwing the ball. I think so. I think it was a combination of things. But you're right. If you get hit that many times, um, you're going to be shell shocked. But I also think that the interceptions uh, kind of made him wait a little bit longer, and then he realized I can't do that because this defense is not giving me that time. So
Those interceptions were great, and that leads me to my next good is the young corners came to play. Like from Fabian Moreau had a pick. You had Jimmy Moreland had the other pick. They were tough, and we had that good pass rush to help them out. But they basically had identical interceptions on comeback routes where they jumped the route and Carson Wentz just threw it right to them. So
yeah.
I like to see that because we're going to need a lot of it next week against DeAndre Hopkins, but we'll get into that later. The next,
Well,
oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, and I just want to also mention that, and I'm sorry, his name, Kendall Fuller, was out, which
Mm-hmm.
I thought was a good sign that, of course, early, not counting early on, but once they kind of locked themselves down, that it was nice to see that. Although a couple times they were open and Wentz overthrew them where the defense wasn't that great. He overthrew Jackson one time, and there was one other play I think he overthrew the tight end that was had he put it on the money, then they would have probably had a big game. So
Mm-hmm.
I think he was a little bit inaccurate too. But
Well, that's what happens with pressure because he did not start inaccurate. He started killing us out the gate. Like he
yeah,
was
10
feeling
for 14.
comfortable. Yeah, he was slicing and dicing us at 17-0. And but that pressure, that's what I'm saying. That's why they talk about it. That's why they talk about pressure all the time is because it starts getting the quarterback frustrated and flustered, and that was it. We're gonna end up going back to that all the time because that defensive line was so impressive today, or yet the other day, and so I'm sure we'll go back to it many times. But my next good is Scott Turner's play calling, where I heard coming into when he got here, he used the motion a lot. I went through every offensive play. I didn't literally average it out, but I would easily say 90% of the time we had some sort of motion or shift prior to calling a hike. It was all the time. I don't know how many fake sweeps on all sorts of plays, making them always have to respond to the Steve Sims, which the Eagles were. Then we actually did finally hand it off to Steven Sims one time, and he got blown up as soon as he got, like, two guys were there to tackle him. So, but that was great that we kept faking that, and they kept having to guard that consistently, which I think helped the run game a little bit. We didn't do great in the run game because Peyton Barber did not have a great day. He only had like 1.9 yards per carry. But Antonio Gibson ran really hard, and he had a couple of plays where he showed really good vision. He only had 9 carries. He ended the day with 36 yards. And this was a stout run defense that we ran against. Like, Adrian Peterson, everybody likes to talk him up. That one game where he had 90-yard run against the Eagles, he finished the remaining of the day with like 12 carries for 8 yards. Besides that, he got a 90-yard run and didn't hit 100. So, like, this run defense is top tier. So I'm not necessarily surprised because it was just like what we did last year against the Eagles. If you remember, we benched Adrian Peterson week 1. And it's because Jay Gruden knew we were not going to run the ball inside a lot today. Like, this run defense is not somebody you run up the gut consistently. And we kind of tried to do that with Peyton Barber, and he showed why we shouldn't do that at 1.9 yards per carry. But a couple of those, like a few of those came at the end of the game when the game was over. But, excuse me. So, it was nice to see Antonio Gibson, though, because he had a really nice run at 20 yards, but then he got tripped up by Terry McLaurin. He almost got up, but he wasn't even looking to run. I think he had a little bit too much of college in him, where if you hit the ground, you're down. But if he would have got up any quicker, that hand came really late from the corner. But he also had a 5-yard run where he had a guy immediately in his face, made him miss, got a 5-yard gain from that. A 7-yard run where he reached the outside, got 7 yards up the sideline, so he showed off that speed. I really liked Antonio Gibson as a running back, which was good to see because we didn't know. I know he was listed as a running back, but at the same time, he played a lot of receiver in college. So how good of an actual true running back was he going to be? I think I saw some potential in the small amount that we saw in Antonio Gibson on Sunday.
Yeah, I agree. And I was going to say, was he the one that ran into the offensive lineman too? I'm trying to remember where he kind of came off tackle off the left and he got through a hole, and then there was an offensive lineman there, and he kind of ran into our own guy. He still fell forward for 3 more yards, but it was like he ran into his own offensive guy who was kind of backwards and couldn't get out of it this way.
I don't think that was him, because I just looked at a couple of his nicer runs before we started, and none of those happened. He was the one that tripped over Terry McLaurin, but I think Peyton Barber was the one that you're talking about. I don't remember that one.
It might be. Yeah, I wasn't sure, but it was. I was cracking up how that offensive lineman was desperately trying to get out of his way and couldn't. It's like no. But yes, I agree. He showed some good promise and has some bursts of speed and good vision. I agree with you 100%.
For sure. We got a comment real quick from Cordy 1 through 9. He says, I think you should change the team to the name to Team in the Game. Hail Team. Not going to happen, Cordy. Not going to happen.
Yeah, HTTWFT, right?
Yeah, WTF is really what it is. That's right. Washington Team Football, that's what it means. No.
By the way, before we move on, did you hear about the journalist who made the funny? He said, the Redskins in week 1 were really trying to find a name for themselves.
Clever.
But I'm pumped.
Yeah, he has thought of writing that week 1 since freaking July or whatever. Whenever we changed the name, he has been, maybe even before that, he's been dreaming for this day when he wrote that. Yeah. No, that's funny. I still have a few more goods. No turnovers. And on defense, we had 3 turnovers, 2 picks, and a fumble recovery, and then 2 turnovers on downs. So on defense, we had 5 turnovers essentially, setting up our offense, which we did not have a lot of total yards. So it really helped our offense to get good field position, which was huge.
Yep.
Defensively, we held them to 5 for 14 on third downs, which is something that we were terrible at under Jay Gruden. It would be consistently
unheard of.
Yeah, 10 for 14 is more like it under Jay Gruden. We have
on a good day. Sorry.
0 for 2 on fourth downs. I swear we gave up fourth downs at a 95% clip under Jay Gruden. If the offense came on for the other team on fourth down, it was automatic giving up a fourth down. We had them 0 for 2 on fourth down, which was unbelievable.
Well, and I think that's why Doug Peters went for it in his own territory. I think weren't they still up 17-14 when he went for the 4th and 4, or were they down at that point? I'm sorry, I can't recall. But to go for 4th and 4 in your own territory.
The last one I know we were up because they were trying to make a comeback drive with like 3.5 left or 4.5 left.
Yeah, so, this was the earlier one. It was like 4th and 4.
Yeah, it was a close game at that. It may have been tied or something like that at that point. It was not. We were not up at that point for sure.
Yeah, that's so that and I hope he's getting grilled in Philly because, what are you thinking going for it on 4th and 4 in that situation? And if one of our guys, coaches, decided to do that, they'd be getting grilled.
Eagles fans are not happy right now, that's for sure. They want Carson Wentz gone at this point. Doug Peterson needs to go. They just lost to the team with no name. They just lost to the team with no name. How embarrassing, right? When they were up 17-0. I mean, come on. That's horrible. No.
Hey, the team with no name is standing atop the NFC East right now.
That's right.
I know. It's one game.
It's fantastic.
Me, I know.
We have Morgan Moses. This is my last one. I just loved this play. It was on the second Peyton Barber touchdown. Morgan Moses. It was a 2nd and 3 from the 3-yard line. Morgan Moses takes Fletcher Cox, one of the best defensive linemen in the game, and just completely, by himself, moves this man like 5-6 yards out of the way, and Peyton Barber just runs right up the middle, right behind that block. That's a big
behind
dude. Yeah, that's a big dude when he decides to move. And Fletcher Cox is no joke. So that was a really, really good block by Morgan Moses. So that was my last good.
Okay, before you move to the bad, I wanted to just give out a couple stats.
All right.
That they allowed 57 yards rushing, which was 3rd in the league on Sunday or this week. They allowed 265, give or take, yards total offense, which was 4th. Mm-hmm. They had forced 3 turnovers, which was tied for 1st. And they had 8 sacks, which was 1st. So how often in the first?
Hold on. 8 sacks was 1st by double the next closest team. The next closest team only had 4. Yeah. 8 sacks is amazing.
There's 4 defensive stats that were within the top 5. And like I said, when was the last time we've had that? I don't know. I have no idea.
Hey, that's a good start to everybody predicting that we were going to have a top 5 defense. That you can't have a much better start than that.
Absolutely.
So is there anything else that you wanted before I started into this bad?
I was trying to avoid you going into the bad, but I know we have to cover it, so please.
All right. Okay, bad. Obvious, slow start. Okay? I had 5 things we needed to do to win this game, and we basically did none of them to start this game. I said that we needed to be creative in the run game. The first 2 plays were exactly the same play. Same formation with the tight end on the left, 3 receivers on the right, running back on the left. They motioned in Antonio Gibson and ran an inside run play right into the gut. We had 2 yards. Yeah, we had 2 yards on the first one, -1 yard on the next one. Or -3 yards, sorry. Total -1. Not creative.
Yep.
Not like the first one you could say was creative. The second one was exactly the same play. It was
I
insane.
was yelling at the TV at that. I was like, "This is what we've seen for years."
Yes. Okay. So that was bad. Haskins. I said Haskins needs to hit the open man. Wasn't hitting the open man at all. Uh, Penalties. We needed to limit the penalties. We had a false or offsides by Montez Sweat, offside by Chase Young, illegal or like late hit on Landon Collins to keep their drives alive. Like, what else did I say? We had to get to Carson Wentz. We weren't getting to Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz just is eating us up, just throwing down the field, driving down the field easily, no contest. Basically, everything I had said. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say I thought Haskins got better as the game progressed. I do agree. Early on, he was very Donovan McNabb-esque, where it was overthrow the ball or throw it at their feet.
Yes,
It
because
was
that
like there was nowhere anywhere close. But I thought he got better as the game went on.
fair enough. Well, Haskins. This is my second bad. Haskins' accuracy was terrible, and sorry to contradict you, all game. Okay, it was really bad.
Me, but you're wrong.
It was real bad in the beginning, throwing at
Oh my
people's
God.
feet over the top. It was real bad. But even later in the game, he had times in the second half. I think it was in the third quarter that even the receivers that were catching the ball were not catching them in stride. It was like they were running this way and they had to turn their body to catch the passes. So his accuracy may have gotten a little better, but he still did left so many yards on the field for lack of accuracy even later in that game. He also didn't trust himself or like trust his receivers or something in these situations where he had a slant. There was one play in the third quarter. He ran a slant for Dontrell Inman. He could have thrown Inman open because there was a guy coming for the
Right.
flat receiver. He was coming behind him on the slant, and he cocked back like he was going to throw it, and then he pulled it back and ended up taking a sack. It's like throw him open, like, and he was another one where right before the touchdown, this first touchdown for Peyton Barber, he threw a slant that was actually completed. He ended up having to throw behind him because the linebacker was screaming over. So he made a good placement for that one, but he threw it late, which didn't allow his receiver to catch the ball and continue to move upfield. So there was things that he was doing where he wasn't quite trusting where his receivers are going to be. There was also a 3rd and 15 where I believe it was Inman was running a really good route actually because it probably was in the play design to be a 15-yard comeback, but it's a 15-yard sticks. It's right. It's 3rd and 15. So you have to run this comeback at 17 yards. So when you come back, you still get the first down. Haskins threw the ball as if the guy was going to stop at 15. Haskins has to know where the sticks are in that situation to then be able to throw the ball a little deeper downfield to give your receiver a chance to actually make the play for the first down, not just make a play. So
Right. All right. So let me give you a little bit of hope, though.
Okay.
Because, in all fairness to Dwayne Haskins, it's his second year and it's his second offensive coordinator. And they always say that quarterbacks or anybody learning a new system, it's going to take them a little bit. So, in essence, while he's got some experience under his belt, this was his first game or rookie game, opening game with Scott Turner. So I'm hopeful that just like last year, that, he gets a little bit of confidence and starts getting, and I hope he makes some mistakes. I hope he throws some interceptions. I want him to take chances. But I think this game was okay, don't screw up. I got a new offensive coordinator. I'm trying to do a system, and I just don't want to do anything bad, and that caused hesitation. So I'm hopeful that he will continue to make the strides similar to what he did last year. That's just my opinion.
I'll say this. None of this is to predict the future. I'm just telling you guys what happened on Sunday. Not to say he's going to suck forever. Not to say this is who he is and it always will be and it always has been. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just telling you what I saw from a young QB on Sunday. Okay? I'm not making any sort of anything other than just telling you what happened. Okay?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
And
That this is
I'm not saying he's not going to improve. I'm not going to say he is going to improve. I'm just telling you what he needs to improve on, because if he plays like he played on Sunday, we will not win many games. The defense won us this game. But that
okay.
8
But let me
sacks.
just say this:
Go ahead.
if our team plays like they played in the first quarter and a half, across the board, which is a very, very young team, just so you know. But if our team played like they played in the first quarter and a half, we're not going to win any games. But I think that everybody was nervous. They didn't have preseason. They got out there. They weren't exactly sure. I think Jack Del Rio wasn't sure. Scott Turner wasn't sure. Everything was very tentative. And then they got into a groove and made some adjustments. And I think they made Philly look bad.
Yeah, defensively, we made them look absolutely terrible. But all of our scores came when we got the ball on their side of the 50. Like, we only had 200 and some odd yards, of total offense on the day, and we scored 27 points. Okay?
No, I got
yeah.
You're right.
So there was a lot to be desired coming out of this offense. Yes, we scored 27. Fantastic. Yes, we could have had 30 because we had a field goal missed in the first half. We could have had even more from what we had with our offense. Did our offense play horrible? No. But did it play good even? No. It didn't even play great. It didn't even play good.
And what was my prediction, though, is that this defense has a chance to carry this offense until the offense finds its legs. Because I think the offense has the talent there. I do.
Right.
But they just need to figure that out. And if this defense can keep playing like it's playing, then we have a chance to have them carry us until the offense can get. And then if the offense starts clicking, then I think, Katie barred the door on the upside.
Fair enough. Now. And also, technically, Haskins had no turnovers on Sunday, which is great. I'm happy. Awesome. Fantastic. He fumbled the ball, that we got the ball back. He also threw the ball right to the defender's hands. There was a crossing route. He had him like this. The ball was coming right here. Okay?
Yeah.
And he just dropped it because he's a DB who doesn't know how to catch the ball. But he threw it right to a DB. So there was stuff that needs to be improved and can be improved.
No doubt, 100%.
Can be improved. It's not over for Haskins.
I saw several plays where he threw it to a guy where the defender was between him and the receiver, and it's like, why are you throwing it that way?
Yep.
Like, even if you threw it on target, it wasn't going to end up good.
For sure.
I'm not arguing with you at all. Definitely a lot of room for improvement. Or need. Let's say need for improvement.
Right. All right, we got a couple of comments. I'm going to keep going with my bad. That was my Haskins diatribe. So let's see what we got here. We have Casimir Carter. We will beat the Cardinals this weekend. Confidence. Confidence is key. We'll talk about the Cardinals in a little bit.
They think like I do, just so you know.
Confidence is key. Sports fan all day. Today is Terry McLaurin's birthday. Why not get him anything better than another receiver to help him out? Terry McLaurin's birthday is today. I did see that earlier. I don't know if you knew that. There have been some trade talks. We can talk about after we go with my bad of maybe getting another receiver. But yeah, we'll go into that a little bit. All right. So continuing with my bad from the game, Troy Apke scares me a little bit. Okay. Especially early on, we had deep throws where he was the deep safety, where I know he has the speed to get to these balls to break them up. But it seems like there must be some sort of awareness issue or instinct issue at the free safety spot where he is not getting to these deep balls, where it could just be he's getting looked off. I don't know. I could be being a little bit too harsh now, similar to like what I was with Haskins. But Troy Apke at free safety is a scary prospect to me. I never really thought Troy Apke was a great safety. I didn't really like the draft pick in the 4th round when we got him. So when all this talk coming out of camp was like, hey, he's going to be the starter. He's earned the job. I was tentatively excited. I was like, awesome. That's great to hear. But on Sunday, I think he showed us a little bit of why, okay, maybe he's not really that great at free safety, but it's I don't know. He's a young player as well. He's gonna have some. He needs
I
to
was going to say,
grow.
I'm going to sound like a broken record, but let's see him in game 2.
Yeah.
Because, again, first game in the NFL, maybe a little bit of don't screw up, don't miss anything. Let's see. And I'm willing to give him a little bit of time to see if he settles in and his instincts take over. Because he does have the speed.
Yes, for sure. Another bad. I mentioned it briefly, but we missed a 48-yard field goal.
Yeah, I don't know why Hopkins didn't have any competition this year. I was a little disappointed.
Yeah, I can't tell you that. I can't tell you why either. But he can't miss too many under 50. At the NFL level, you got to basically be money under 50. So I give him one more miss this season under 50, but he cannot miss another one over 2. Like missing 3 under 50 is, in my opinion, unacceptable at the NFL level, and he definitely needs some competition next season, even though he should have had some competition this season. So
yeah,
he didn't come back and make a 38.
And maybe there wasn't anybody available. I don't know, but with Ron Rivera making it the statement of there's competition at every position. Well, there was, and I understand Tressway. He's money. He's a great punter. I understand not questioning him, but to not bring anybody into Hopkins with what he did. I mean, he's not like he's got a great track record even previous years. So why was there nobody? And maybe, like I said, maybe there just wasn't anybody available to bring in where they thought they could give him an honest competition. I don't know. But yeah, I agree. He needs to get his head right because I think he's got the leg. He wasn't short on either kick or the kick. One question. It was just, he just let it out. Was it to the right?
I think it was to the right. Yeah, I think it was to the right. He let it keep going. All right, the last two are not that big of a deal. I just thought this was actually more funny than anything. We ran a tight end screen. Yeah, no more of that. I don't want to see any more tight end screen with Logan Thomas. It did not look pretty. He does not have the speed. He does not have the vision, and was not decisive with his decision making. At his talent level, he needs to catch the ball and go upfield and get every yard he possibly can. He caught the ball and turned around and kind of like almost like stutter step, like kind of acting like he's Le'Veon Bell in the backfield, like, oh, I'm waiting for somebody to come at me and I'm going to give him a little shimmy and make him miss. No, it ended up being a 2-yard play, which could have been a 5, 6, 7-yard play because he actually had some blocking, but instead he kind of like turned around nonchalantly, like, oh, whoever's coming to get me is not going to tackle me. Don't worry. Like he's not Travis Kelce, he's not George Kittle. I don't want to see many more of these tight end screens for.
All right, well we'll send a note to Scott Turner and make sure he knows that. Tear that page out of the playbook. It doesn't work.
Yeah, yeah, we need a new tight end before we run that one. Okay. Yeah. This one isn't something that we needed that we necessarily. Well, we kind of did because we need to know the rules. Is on the one punt, I don't know if you remember this, but
no, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, we had Tressway punt and stuck him at like the 4 or 5 yard line.
Yeah, inside the 5 yard line.
Yeah, and shoot, now I forgot who it was.
I can't remember who it was either, but I know exactly the play you're talking about. He stepped out of bounds.
Yeah, hold on. It was Danny Johnson. Danny Johnson comes, he gets pushed out of bounds like they normally do, and he came up and touched the ball first. This rule needs to be changed on punts. This rule was put in place for receivers so they can't run their routes out of bounds and then throw them the ball and them to be the first one touched, right? Just because you get pushed out of bounds as a gunner and you're downing the ball, I don't think this needs to be penalized like an illegal play, like some cheat play that we're trying to police, like an out of bounds for the receiver play. Like,
okay, but
I think this needs to be changed.
Please finish. Okay, well I can tell you why it can't.
Okay, go ahead.
Because it is equally important that if you allow a player to come from out of bounds and be the first one to touch the ball, then what's to stop your gunner from lining up on the sideline? As soon as the ball is snapped, he takes off, runs behind the team, comes down around the inside, comes in, and is the first one to touch the ball, and the receiving team doesn't know where he is.
Easy fix to that. Make it illegal to come on the field after the ball's hiked. Like, you have to start on
No,
the
no, no,
field.
no, no. You're on the field. You are standing 1 yard in on the sideline as a gunner. You got two guys on you because you're the gunner and you're standing right by the sideline. You're on the field, but as soon as the ball is snapped, you make a right-hand turn and start running down.
Actually, no. Hold on. No, they already have a rule for this. You can't just voluntarily run out of bounds. It's only if you get pushed out of bounds, and as soon as you get pushed out of bounds, you have to run immediately back inbounds. You cannot, even if you got pushed out of bounds, you can't just start running up the field. You have to immediately get back inbounds. They already have this rule in the books. So even if you can't voluntarily run. What?
So you're saying if he got pushed out of bounds and then came right back in, he'd be allowed to touch the ball?
No, it's an allowed play. But if he got pushed out of bounds and just ran the rest of the way out of bounds, that's a flag whether he touches the ball or not. You can't just stay out of bounds the rest of the play and then come back on the field. Like, you have to get back in.
So how soon? Like, if you run 3 yards to get back in, that's okay?
It's a judgment call. They have to make
exactly.
No,
and that's the problem.
No, did you make an honest effort to get back on the field? Okay, 3 yards. Okay, you're fine. 3 steps. Okay, you're fine. If you ran 20 steps, we know that you did something wrong. Okay, like, that's not right. So it's not going to be an exact, like, if you get 5 steps out of bounds, then you're not included. It's like, it'll be a judgment call by the refs. Did the ref honestly feel as though he gave an honest effort to get back on the field within a reasonable amount of time? Because also, what happens if you got pushed freaking 5 yards out of bounds or something? You know, like, they got a good push on you, and you have to take 7, 8, 9 steps to get back in to out of bounds because you got tripped up as you're pulling away. You're also most likely not going to be the first one to touch the ball in that scenario. But anyway, I think there's better ways to handle this.
Instead of do it similar to the NBA, where you have to establish yourself back in bounds before you can touch the ball.
That's fine. Yeah, you have to establish yourself back in. But at the same time, I like the rule now is like you can't, as far as you can't run out of bounds just the whole way out of bounds. But I think I like the rule for the receiver, as I've already stated. If you run out of bounds, you cannot be the first one to touch the ball, like, outside the quarterback. Like, you can't be throwing the ball to. I like that rule for that receiver situation. But as a gunner, I think, and just that's coming down just to down the ball, because he didn't even have to touch it. He could have just stood next to it.
Exactly. Which brings me to my point I was going to make is you need to teach your players the rules so
100%.
that he doesn't touch the ball.
100%.
Because if he'd have just not touched the ball, to your point, it was going to be on the 4-yard line, and there's no penalty. But for some reason, nobody tells these players the rule that says if you get knocked out of bounds, you can't be the first one to touch the ball. Don't do it. And so
yes, you're absolutely right on this one. No doubt. It's in the rules now.
Mark that, by the way.
Yeah. Somebody timestamp this and put it on the date. Yeah. No, you're absolutely correct as far as it's in the books now, and we need to know the rules. So I'm 100% with that. But I think this rule needs to be changed because it's not meant to stop anything here. And I think we could do better on this rule specifically.
Yeah, they could modify it. I think they could come up with a solution. I get what you're saying. I just felt like arguing with you for 10 minutes over it.
Yeah, sounds about right. All right, I want to go back to this comment real quick because Sports Fan All Day talked about how we may be able to get another receiver. So there's apparently 2 receivers I've heard. Maybe somebody else can put in the live chat whatever they've heard. One is Odell Beckham apparently wants to be traded out of Cleveland. Don't really hide your emotions here.
I was going to say, could I shake my head any more violently?
I'm with you. I do not want to see Odell Beckham on this team. I think he's a locker room cancer. I don't think this is the guy that we want. The second guy is a little bit more interesting, and that's Allen Robinson out of Chicago. This guy is... I don't know much about him. This guy's legit. He used to play in Jacksonville. He ended up tearing his ACL in Jacksonville, so he missed an entire season. Came back, had a really good season. Then he went to Chicago. Chicago, he had over 1,000 yards receiving last year and something like 9 touchdowns. I want to say 8, 9 touchdowns maybe. He is a real talent at the wide receiver position. He's also a big guy. I didn't look up. I didn't have this planned at all because I didn't write it down. I just was responding to this comment. But Allen Robinson, I think, is like 6'2", 6'3".
So, Mike, my first question is, what's the deal with Chicago, and why does he want out, and what's the problem?
Mitch Trubisky sucks. The quarterback. No, I don't know why he wants out, to be honest. That's a very good question.
If that's the case, if it's like, okay, this offense sucks and I want to go on another team, that I can deal with. It's not a, can't get along with people, bitches about not getting the ball or whatever. So, yeah, if it's just simply, hey, this offense isn't for me, I want to go somewhere else, then okay, just as long as we're not, paying the farm or selling the farm to get them.
Right. I don't know what it would take, and that would obviously depend what the agreement would have to be. I wouldn't give a first round for him. I probably wouldn't even give a second round for him, to be honest. We're a building team. I don't want to give away early picks right now. So it's not like we're one piece away from a Super Bowl or something like that. So this is not somebody I want to give the house for. But he's 6'3", 209 pounds. Let me look at his stats from a year ago. He's a good receiver, Dad. Let's see here. We have last year, he had 98 catches for 1,147 yards and 7 touchdowns last season.
Wow.
In 2015, he had 80 catches, 1,400 yards, and 14 touchdowns for Jacksonville, who at the time I think had Blake Bortles. So it's...
Hey, what are you talking about? Hall of Famer, man.
Yeah, Hall of Fame of never being in the Hall of Fame.
Hall of Shame.
Yeah, exactly. So
Hall of not going to happen? I don't know. What do you want to say?
Yes, Casimir Carter came back and said, "Happy birthday, Scary Terry." Happy birthday. We said that earlier. Yes, I agree. But no, but to sport fans 23? All day. Sounds about right. 22, 23, 22.
Maybe 22 because he just got out. Well, when did he graduate college? This year, right? So he probably turned 22, I would think.
No, 2 years ago. He was on the team last year.
Oh, you're right. Sorry. Yeah, he's 23. Assuming he went 4 years.
Why did I do that? Like Google's gonna know who Scary Terry is.
You never know.
McLaurin.
He's got.
Oh wow, he's older than I thought. He's 25. Fair enough. I did not realize he was that old.
Was he like a 5-year?
I guess he was a 4-year student or something. I guess I don't know.
You a redshirt freshman or something, or?
Fair enough. I did not realize he was 25. But yes, happy birthday to Terry McLaurin. All right, so yes, I would like to go get Allen Robinson to Sports Fan All Day. Depends on the price, though. I agree with you. I do not want to give a bunch of early picks around. I know my friend Jake was talking about potentially a second-round pick and Ryan Anderson. That seems too much for me right now. I would give him a third-round pick and Ryan Anderson. I'll do that. If we could get away with a third-round pick and Ryan Anderson, I would do that for Allen Robinson. I think that he's worth a third-round talent.
Well, but also keep in mind that by you saying that, then you're kind of saying that you think Haskins is going to get better to the point where he's going to be able to find these open receivers and actually hit them.
Yeah, we don't want him to be upset here like he is in Chicago.
Well, I'm just saying that if you're going to get a free agent like that or a trade, then you have to feel like that if you had more talent on wide receiver, that your quarterback would, you look at the great quarterbacks, it's like, oh, he doesn't have any weapons. You bring in a guy, that quarterback's going to use that talent and be like, okay, that's going to make this team better. There's no guarantee or indication yet that Haskins is that guy. Again, not saying he can't be or that he won't. I believe he can develop. But if you bring in a guy now, you're saying that the reason why the offense isn't producing is because Dwayne Haskins doesn't have enough weapons. And I'm not sure we can say that yet. But anyway, just my opinion.
Fair enough. Well, we did have to bring in Cam Sims to be on the active roster this week. And this guy's much better than Cam Sims. So if we get Allen Robinson on the field, and he's better than Inman, who saw a lot of playtime so far, Allen Robinson's better than Inman. So
So
Okay,
you're saying they bring him in and then drop one of the other receivers?
Cam Sims. Yeah.
Okay.
Dontrell Inman would move down the depth chart.
Oh,
All right.
AKA Stonehands.
All right, we're putting the Eagles game behind us. What a win. Wonderful day. It stunk in the beginning, and then after midway through the second quarter, it was all Redskins, all us. It was fantastic.
We're
But,
going to the Super Bowl.
yes, of
Okay,
course.
no, sorry, I'm jumping the gun.
How about we're going to week 2? Okay,
That's right.
so here we go. We're going week 2. We have the Arizona Cardinals this week. We already had a prediction from Casimir Carter that we will beat the Cardinals this weekend.
I agree.
Confidence is key. All right, so a little bit about the Cardinals is Kyler Murray is the real deal. Okay? He's basically another Lamar Jackson. Okay, he's got great speed. He could throw on the run. He could throw the ball from the pocket. There's a reason this guy was the number 1 pick overall. This guy is legit. Whatever we learn this week against Kyler Murray is going to help us against the Ravens 2 weeks from now because they're very, very similar guys. Tough to guard. DeAndre Hopkins, probably the second best receiver in the league. Sure-handed as they come. We have to try to limit this guy in some way, shape, or form because this guy is a monster. They have a two-headed running back with Kenyon Drake and Chase Edmonds. This is a really good duo for Kyler Murray because they both can run the ball and they both can catch the ball out of the backfield. So if things break down with Kyler Murray and he's able to check it down to them, they could do some real damage. Kenyon Drake had a rushing touchdown last week, and Chase Edmonds had a receiving touchdown last week. Really good tandem in the running back room. On defense, they have Chandler Jones, a premier pass rusher in this league, really good at rushing the passer. Buda Baker is their free safety who led the team last week in total tackles. He had 15 tackles last week. And then they have corner Patrick Peterson, who's still a really good corner at age 30 years old. So they got some good weapons on defense as well. And they have one of my favorite players coming out of last year's draft, Isaiah Simmons. He hasn't seen the field much. He's a rookie. He didn't see the field much last week, but I really, really like this dude. A huge middle linebacker. I think he's 6'4", running a 4.3.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yep. So that's the Cardinals in a nutshell. Now here are the 5 things we need to do to beat the Cardinals. Okay? We have contain Murray. Okay? Much easier said than done to contain this dude because when this guy's in space, it can get ugly really quickly. Last week, he had 13 carries for 91 yards and a touchdown on the ground. And this is their quarterback. Okay? Very, very important that we somehow contain this guy and not let him get out on a bunch of run plays because he could also throw on the run. And so contain Murray is number 1. Number 2, don't let Hopkins beat you. Okay? Make anyone else beat you. Do not let Hopkins beat you. And let me tell you why. Last week, Hopkins had 14 catches for 151 yards, and he almost scored where he got tackled at the half-yard line. Okay? The rest of the team had 12 catches for 79 yards. He nearly doubled up the rest of the team on yards. Okay? And with about the same amount of catches. This dude, he went, I think it was 2017, he went the entire year without a drop. Okay, when he was in Houston. One of the best receivers in the game. Double team him. Do what you have to do to stop Hopkins. Number 3. This was number 3 last week on the list as well. Haskins has to improve his accuracy. I said last week he has to hit the open man. He did enough. He did not do great at this. He has to do it this week because 17 for 31, 178 yards, and a touchdown ain't going to get it done this week like it did against the Eagles. Okay? This is not... So he has to play better than he did last week. Number 4, run the ball. 49ers average 4.5 yards per carry with their running backs. They averaged 4.9 yards on the day for total. And it could be argued that the 49ers didn't run enough. They had 22 carries in the game total for all their running backs. Gibson has a real chance at breaking out this game. This defense is not the best defense in the world. This defense can be beat in the run game, and so running the ball will be huge against this defense. Last but not least is long and sustained drives. Okay? We have to allow our defense to get rest to be able to keep up with this Kyler Murray at the quarterback position for the Cardinals. Okay? We have a good rotation of guys to keep people fresh, but if we start seeing these guys with 30 plus snaps all over the place and like 50 plus snaps for our best guys, this could really hurt our defense and limit our chances to win this game, because if they have a bunch of time of possession, this could really hurt our young defense. So, is there anything you thought that I needed to add, that something was more important than what I thought? What did you think here?
No, I mean, I think you covered it. I think a few of them are like, not, I wouldn't say duh, but it's, I agree that they got to exploit what the Cardinals are going to give them, and that I think Scott Turner in his second week maybe a little bit more relaxed and sees a little bit, because again, no preseason games, you have nothing but training camp, so I'd like to see less off tackle and running at the pile in the middle, which is what we did for years, and they started out the game, and get some people in some space. I think, I know you said no tight end screens. I get that, but
that was a little bit more facetious than anything.
No, I get what you're saying though, but I think some more misdirection, keep them off balance, and stay on the field. And I mean that works in any game. That if your offense can sustain a drive, then one, yeah, it's obvious. Yes, you're giving your defense a rest, but secondly, you're not giving their offense the ball as often. So if you can, have long sustained drives, then you're going to win the time of possession. So if I'd be perfectly honest with you, I did not watch the game, so I was surprised that the Cardinals won. Although I did pick them in my pick'em league to cover. I think it was 6, or was it? I can't remember but I think that right now I feel like, well, I want to see this defense play against an offense that's not as damaged as Philadelphia's was.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see second game now where they're going to come out on the field. I think Chase Young's going to be a little more relaxed. I think Jack Del Rio has a better feel for what he has, and Ron Rivera said that everybody was rusty, including Jack Del Rio. He goes, no one had called a game in what seemed like forever. So he said everybody started off rusty, including the coaches, and he said then they got into a rhythm. And this week you're going to have Jack Del Rio watching game film. He's believing that he can call a zero blitz or single coverage, and with the idea, okay, we're going to throw them some looks, and I'm looking forward to what he can do. And I know the 49ers have a good defense. I don't think it's as good as it once was, but it's still a formidable defense. So I'm not saying it's going to be an easy victory by any means, but I just, like I said, I want to see this team play against a team that is, I know nobody's 100%. They probably got injured players, but for lack of a better term, a team that's 100% that has a good team, and to see how they show up in week 2.
I gotcha.
Then I don't see, and just one more, I don't see them waiting a quarter and a half to start playing. Mm-hmm. I see that. And again, I think the offense is going to still continue to find itself. I get that. I think offenses are, like they've always said, offenses are harder to get into a rhythm than defenses are, because it's more complex. But I think that, I want to see this team show up from the opening gun and play 4 quarters and see how they do against a team that is has obviously got something going on because they just beat the 49ers.
Yes, I really like the Cardinals this year. The Cardinals are a really good team. But I just want to defend my 5 things, okay? Obviously, all the things I'm going to say in the 5 things we need to do to beat whatever team are going to help you win. But my point is these are things that we need to do to win. Like, there's some teams that you could play where you don't have necessarily the time of possession, and that'll be okay, and you win the game, right? Like, yes, obviously, if you have more time of possession, you have the ball longer, that helps no matter what. But you could have 35 minutes of time possession against Kansas City, and Kansas City in their 25 minutes scored 50 points. Like, it's
yeah.
But my point in saying that the long and sustained drives is that our defense is going to get tired chasing this kid around. Kyler Murray is going to make us chase him around the field, and that's why I'm saying things like that. But and like last against the Eagles, I didn't just say run the ball. I said we had to have a creative run game because if you just ran the ball up the middle against the Eagles. Anyway, so I just wanted to defend my 5 things we need to do. There.
No, I'm not arguing with
Okay.
you. They make sense.
Cool.
I just want to see, like I said, and Carson Wentz is not a speedster by any sense of the imagination, but he has historically been slippery.
Mm-hmm.
And the Redskins, the first time they got to him, if you notice, the first time they got to him, he ducked under the guy and was able to make a completion. But they learned from that, and it was like, no, now they just had, like I said, in most cases, it seemed like 2 and 3 guys were coming from all areas. The pocket was being destroyed, and they didn't there was no, there was no way for him to go. And I understand, or nowhere for him to go. And I understand that Kyler Murray is a different player, but I want to see Chase Young on the outside disrupting defenses, lunch carding him back. And, I think they had a couple coverage sacks against Wentz where he had some time, but there was nobody to throw to, and they eventually got to him. But I'm just looking forward to a progression over this defense that now they know they can do it. They know each other, and now this week they're going to show up in the first quarter and not wait till the 4th drive.
For sure. Okay. This leads us to our prediction, and we're getting close to the hour mark, so we're going to get out of here after this. So if you have any last comments, you can go put them in there. We'll read them at the end.
And thanks for hanging out with us, by the way.
Yes, everybody that was here, thanks for hanging out. But I'll go first because
you're negative Nelly.
I'm a realist. Okay?
If they were going to lose to Philadelphia, I get it.
Hey, body bag game. All right, here we go. I have us losing this game 31-20. Okay? I love this young defense. This defense is so talented. 5 first-rounders on the defensive line. We've got Landon Collins, another first-rounder as a safety. Like, there's a lot of talent on this young defense. I don't think they're going to be ready to handle this mobile quarterback that we're about to see on Sunday. We also have very young and unproven corners, and that does not spell success against a DeAndre Hopkins, who's the second best receiver in the league. So if Kyler Murray can buy time, which he will buy time. Can we limit him to those situations? Hopefully we can, but he will buy time, and then that will allow DeAndre Hopkins to eventually get open. And DeAndre Hopkins, I see probably doing very well because he could do well against anybody. But I think we're going to lose this game 31-20, and it's going to be a little bit of a wake up call to some Skins fans that think, oh wait, we're legit. We just beat the Eagles. Yeah. It's like this team's still young. We have an average roster, and this is going to bring some Redskins fans back down to earth, but that's okay because we're building, and we're moving in a very good direction. What is your prediction?
You finished? Okay. Do you know Kendall Fuller? He was doubtful for this game and didn't play.
They're not going to come out with the injury reports until tomorrow.
No, but I'm just saying. But his injury is not like out 4 to 6 weeks, so it's something where he could be back. Obviously, he had a chance. They said he had a chance of playing last week, so he didn't. So I want to see. I'd like to see him back in the lineup. As I said before, I'm ready to give Troy Apke another chance to get the jitters out of the way. I'm an optimist. I said earlier in the year, I thought that they were going to go 2-0.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to stick by it, and I'm going to say, let's say 24 to 20.
24-20?
Yep.
Skins win?
Yep. I said I was sticking to my 2-0.
Hey.
So.
I like your prediction better. All right.
So I'm, like I said, and you know me, I am a homer. I'll be the first one to say it. I always look at the glass half full, but I don't think this prediction is maybe quite as far out of line as I've gotten, in the past of being like a blind optimist that, oh, they're going to come in and play a great game. I think, like to your point, we have the makings of something really, really good. And yes, they're young, but I think also Ron Rivera's got them all playing together and believing in themselves, and I'm looking forward to it. I think we have a really good shot.
As I said, I like it better. All right, guys, that's a show. Thank you guys for hanging out. That was hanging out with us live, and thank you for anybody that was watching this after the fact on the video on demand. And I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, share with your friends, and comment anything down below that you didn't like that we said, that you liked what we said, or your thoughts on the matter. Comment down below. Thank you, and until next time.
Okay. I was going to say, just tell your friends that every Tuesday night at 7 o'clock we're live from now on. If you liked it. If you didn't, then don't tell them.
This guy said it. This guy said it. Live on Tuesdays. Yes, thanks. All right, well, till next time. See ya!